Ladies and gents, boys and girls, I'm Marshall, and today, rather than doing a Marshall Explains as I've been doing recently, let's go into a higher level cast. Here we've got AndreasG in purple, and NikolaMX, renaming himself to Toxic AF, playing against each other on the ranked map, Line. So this is a ranked game between these two. It's recommended to me as being a pretty good one to watch, so let's dive in and see what happens. Line, being a really small planet, only 400 radius, is quite interesting because it also has a large spawn, roughly encompassing that square that I'm drawing there. At this point I'm hoping that my cursor is showing up for you. So that sort of entire polar region, so it gets those two mechs there, those two, that three, and those three. So it covers both sides of this crevasse. So that gives you a choice. Do you spawn the three here and go down the line, or the lane rather? Do you spawn the two, expand to the three, and still have an option to move out down there? Do you spawn on this three and be kind of further back, but you know, gives you those options, and then a set of four here? Or do you spawn on these three and have a really close route to your opponent with lots of close mechs? But it looks like Nick has decided to spawn on these two. Meanwhile, Andreas on the south spawn, it's mirrored. Okay, interesting. So they've both chosen this spawn. There was a time when higher level players would spawn close to the crevasse on this side, so that their first factory would build across the crevasse so that they can get these three, but then also have their commander on this side ready to push down in these other regions. So maybe if you're trying to sort of up your game or surprise your opponents, you can start thinking about that. Rather than thinking about, okay, I'm confined to my build area, you can think, actually, I've got a range that I can build, and just because I can't physically walk there doesn't mean I can't build there. Now, Andreas goes for vehicle first, seems to be his favoured lately. Nick going bot first and then into air, both of them. Andreas going for the triple fab, Nick also for a triple fab, but got a couple of boom bots out first. Follow that up with a firefly here to then give vision for these boom bots, which are going to be looking for expanding fabricators on their own. Now Andreas here has gone for a fourth fab, which you can only really do by adding in an extra P-gen there. But here we go. Couple of boom bots. Nick decides, okay, I can't find a fabricator that's free. I'm going to use two boom bots to take out a metal extractor. So even if folks that you've sent your boom bots across and you think, damn, I haven't found any undefended fabricators, if you've got two, you can go and snipe a mechs. By the way, for those who aren't familiar, mechs means metal extractor. What Andreas has done here is protect these two with this one striker against boom bots there. Now Andreas walking his commander out. That's not particularly typical for higher levels. Generally in higher levels you'll watch them and they'll put their whole build queue so that their commander has to walk as little as possible. So here I reckon Andreas is walking his commander out so that he can keep him on the front lines and ready to enter combat if he needs to. He's in the middle of the base, he's not really doing a lot other than maybe doing a bit of building, whereas on the front he can actually provide a defensive multiplier here. Wow, okay, so he's going to that mech before coming back and doing all of this build? What is he doing with this commander? Zoom out a little bit so we can see what Nick's doing on the pole there, and then Andreas as well. So Nick coming in here with a few docks and a striker as well, just looking for a little bit of unit trade and maybe a mechs kill, and he's already got the mechs kill. Now he's just trying to get value for his units by wiggling them around a little bit, trying to duck and weave between the shots there, and he manages to pick up a second metal extractor as well. Really good raid there from Nick. Meanwhile, in his base here, we've gone for two vehicle factories afterwards. Meanwhile, he's using his fabricators and rally queues, rally points, to send units elsewhere to then start building. Looks like this one's gone idle, probably because he's busy microing on the front lines. But that's the thing, keeping pressure on one side while then expanding in other areas. Andreas is going to need to find a different way of responding to this. He's still walking his commander with his lovely beast crown. Look at that. Purple and red. Purple, red and black. Ugh. Gorgeous. But now coming out with sparks for the short range and grenadiers. He's going to need to start getting some anti-air, and he's got that for Galata here, which is going to prevent this bumblebee from getting close and getting any value. But he's going to start to need some spinners coming out from these vehicle factories as this fabricator train moves out of the range of those Galata, and Nick's going to be looking for more snipes as he goes. Both players now, look at this, both players moving their commanders close to the tree line here. This is going to get interesting. I'm going to need more pips for this. Has anyone got more pips? More pips, please. That's going to need to stay there now, I think. While we watch those guys, because there's also going to be a to and fro on the lane on the other side of the planet here. Gosh, this is going to be very, very interesting now. Both of these commanders into the trees, which means putting up walls is going to be a little bit hazardous because of having to reclaim the trees. Few hits getting off here, an army from Nik coming in to threaten Andreas. He's going to need some reinforcements coming out very, very soon. We've got some sparks coming in, which is going to push these strikers back, which is going to give Andreas a chance to run away and maybe regroup in a better position. But Andreas doesn't have the range to be able to deal with these yet. Maybe he'll transition into ants. Or he's still going heavy strikers. He's still going very heavy strikers. I think I need to talk to the players about their thinking around this. And I think that would be valuable for you guys as well if I got that on recording, because there's some really interesting stuff here. Andreas pushing all the way back with his sparks there. Doesn't want to push all the way in, because that's when he reaches the concave and overextends, and he doesn't want to do that. So he comes back, regroups, leaves his walls alone. Nik over here just getting a mix as he can. Doesn't want to overextend likewise on that side of the map. Meanwhile, on the line in the bottom picture-in-picture, Andreas has taken the equator expansions, really nice there, and putting up some turrets, a wall, and a factory to really lock that down. Boombots coming in to try and separate this army up and upset it. Look at that, a few tanks going down from those boombots. The sparks now getting in close, closing the gap and using that area of effect on all of these grenadiers. Not quite having the numbers to deal with it to the extent that he needs to, really, which is a shame. Nick's still pressuring with the commander, making sure that Andreas doesn't have the wiggle room, as it were, to keep moving in and about, out and around. Boombots there from Andreas, thinking, actually no, now is not the time to go for the comm snipe. I need to ensure that I don't need them elsewhere, and that he can ensure the comm snipe. And here we go. With this large number of booms, he wants to keep them away from aggressive strikers. A little bit more micro needed here, Andreas, for those booms. Back into the centre of the base there. Andreas now, rather Nik, sorry, moving units around his comm. I think he senses the boombot threat. I think he senses it. Well, he certainly sees it with the Air Force coming over. The bombers, though, could potentially get a few off on the booms. No, he doesn't, but at least he sees the booms now. He knows that they are there, which surprises me that he's therefore not setting a bunch of docks next to his commander just in case. But then again, Andreas thinking, maybe I'll send the booms at that group instead. Doesn't quite get anywhere, though. There are too many docks in that force for the booms to really get in close. Here we go, look at the ecos there. Nik managing to expand elsewhere across the map that is completely uncontested here by Andreas. Could do a little bit of raiding down from here if he can get up a factory and then push it out. But most of the fighting is going on here. But all of a sudden, Andreas has the unit advantage and Nik's commander is getting hailed and he's standing still. He needs to run away. Andreas could have potentially pushed in a little bit there. But at the same time, he needs them to be ready to divert to defend against the main force from Nik here. Nik's command now, legging it away, thinking, can I expand to Andreas's metal over here? Can I do that? Can I be sneaky? Can I be really sneaky? He might well do it, but Andreas needs to get rid of all of these proxy factories, and he's going to use this horde of grenadiers to do just that. take them out, pull them back after their last shots have been fired, so that he's microing them, bringing out the docks in front to deal with all of these boombots that now Nik is fielding from his side of the house. No T2 yet from either player, just loads and loads of T1 factories. 13 factories for Andreas. 14, 15 now for Nik. So much stuff happening right now, and Nik's commander's just wandering off over here. Going over to Timbuktu, it's fine. Andreas just maintaining the defense here with this mix of Grenadiers and Sparks. Sparks to sort of soak a bit of damage, and the Grenadiers to keep the enemy at range. But Nik continuing to float metal and therefore build up some more factories and get some more power generators elsewhere on the planet. Andreas, though, has been fighting a little bit on this line here, and look at this. He's suffered a few losses. Nik managed to push in a little bit there by the looks of things. But now look at this. Andreas with more boombots ready to try and find Nik's commander, and he needs to do that. All Nik needs to do is be ready, but he's about to find the booms. He stops just short. Here we go. He sees them. And he thinks, ooh, okay. He sees them and he's microing against them. Here come the booms. Here come the booms. Booms. Plan from Andreas seems to have failed, and Nik has enough strikers next to his commander to deal with it. The boom snipes are not happening today. Nik not preparing one either at this point. Still getting more bots here. I think Nik just wants more Grenadiers in his comp. I think he feels like Grenadiers are what he needs right now to push Andreas back because of the range, and then trying to get Andreas' commander over walls and factories that he probably anticipates being there. Looks like a bunch of boombots actually just got through into Nik's commander there. Look how low he is now. Let's go back and watch that briefly. Here we go. The strikers move away. Hummingbird sees it. The booms come in. While Nik is busy microing, he doesn't get... Oh, he does get an Uber Cannon off. That saved his bacon. That Uber Cannon saved Nik. Never take your eyes off a commander when he's gone walkies, folks. Nik just managed to save his commander there. My goodness me. But now here comes the superior numbers of Nik. Look at that. 108 units in total to Andreas' 60. Can Andreas fight this off? He's got walls over on the way away from his commander. Over here, Andreas is going to need some Uber Cannons. Watch that into a group there. Nice. Could have been slightly better, but still better than nothing. Ready for the next one. Pushing back, keeping Nik at bay for now. And now now Andreas is fighting against Nik's commander. With a bunch of Sparks just wandering around as single file folk. What's going on here with Nik's fabs? Looks like he's just going to start building progressively closer to Andreas' base, trying to just gradually outproduce him. The ecos there will allow him to do that. That's the big problem now, is Nik's economy is vastly superior to Andreas's. Andreas needs to beat his way out of this little enclave that Nik has managed to surround him in. He's backed into a corner, and Nik has free reign over the rest of the planet's economy here. But look at this, Andreas managing to get in close to the power line there. Look out for those power lines, folks. If you can take out the power lines, you'll stall things big time. If you see a power line, kill it. Do it. It's just a complete tug of war here. Andreas doing some really good micro of these Grenadiers, keeping them behind walls. The moment he sees a volley coming, he moves a few away, then turns them round to fire a shot off, and then runs away again. Stops them, moves them forwards, fires a shot off, gets them behind a wall. Boombots coming in to deal with Grenadiers. Really nice work there. Nik continuing to raid with strikers on the other side, taking out a further 3 mechs from Andreas. But now Nik comes in with the Pelter Creep. It's the evil Pelter Creep. How can he do this? Mines up from Andreas as well. Really clever placement of mines here. You don't need to area build them if you don't have to. And it takes a lot longer to build those areas. It's much more effective at higher levels of play to just pop a few up in small particular areas. But here, Nik starting to take out Andreas's factories. Nik's factory count up to 28. That's astronomical numbers of factories. And now he's starting to enter the air game as well. He wants the bombers. He knows that Andreas is not fielding any spinners right now or any Galata in his area. So going for bumblebees will thin out any remaining forces from Andreas. Somehow Andreas still has 60 units. Where are they? They're on this side here. The boombots are still running around trying to find the commander, but Nik's commander is way away next to some striker factories, which is not good for boombots. That's going to make it really tricky for them to get in. But if they can somehow thread that needle... Look at this. Nik just not even caring with his fabricators. He's just coming in and expanding into Andreas's metal. But here we go. Boombots trying to thread. Boombots trying to thread. They're not going to do it, though. There's too many strikers there converging on that commander, which is a shame for him. So many grenadiers now on the front lines for Nik. Andreas is struggling and he GG's. He throws in the towel. Andreas could not beat his way out of that little enclave. He could not do it. And Nik with his commander, I feel like Nik, the best move he made there was walking his commander this way. If he'd walked his commander back home, he wouldn't have put the immediate pressure on this area, giving Andreas the breathing room that he would have needed to expand to this zone. But by Nik coming over here, putting up a factory, moving back into the middle, continuing to threaten these mechs, and then putting up factories here on his way back, made sure that Andreas never had a safe expansion over here. Absolutely brutal. And then when Nik finally broke through the middle there, and on this side as well, that's when Andreas knew that he just didn't have the ability to play this game any longer. Couldn't find the commander snipe with the boombots, and it was just a neck-and-neck tug of war on the front lines, which just meant that because he had to make sure that Nik couldn't get through on the front lines, he didn't have the units to commit to defense of the realm elsewhere, and that's when Nik broke through and finally broke the camel's back that was Andreas. Great game there. Great game. GG's.